YouTube! My name is Flash Notion, and I am a huge fan of the CW's Arrowverse. I have watched almost every show that is within that universe, sort of. I have not watched Constantine, but all of the rest of them are in my memory now. And recently, those shows had their biggest crossover yet. Crisis on Infinite Earths. They brought in so much, not just from the CW, but beyond. And now, post-Crisis, there is an opportunity to bring back characters that have been written out in some way. Whether they died or the writers just stopped putting them in the show, it doesn't matter. They're gone for now. But now they can be brought back. And since we are dealing with multiverses, they don't need to be played by the same actors even. They could be anyone. Already the shows are taking advantage of this, bringing back characters that have been dead for years. And now I'm going to give you a list of 10 characters that I think deserve a second chance post-Crisis. This list is going to be delivered not in any particular order, but I'm going to try and go through it by the show, in the order that those shows started airing, and I'm going to try to list off the characters in order from the ones I want the least to the ones I want the most within each show. Let us begin with Arrow. So the first character that I'd like to be brought back on Arrow is none other than Moira Queen. What? What do you... Oh. Okay, sorry folks, I came up with this list before the Arrow finale actually came out. They did it! They brought her back! That's great. Oh, man. I kind of wish we'd gotten to see Mia interact with her. I mean, that's her grandmother! But there was enough emotional moments aside from that, so I'm cool with it. But now we have to come up with another character. Who could we bring back? There's actually not that many characters from Arrow that the Crisis didn't bring back. I mean, obviously Oliver wanted everyone in his life back as much as he could. There were a few people that he couldn't, but that's because he literally could not. Alright, I got one. So the first character that we're going to be bringing back from Arrow, I don't actually really want to see on Arrow, or rather on the sequel series. I want them to bring back Dinah Lance. No, not Laurel. I'm not talking about Laurel. I'm talking about their mother. Sarah and Laurel's mother has been absent from the show since season 2? Basically, ever since they actually brought Sarah back, they were just like, oh yeah, we don't need her mother's character anymore. And that's ridiculous. I mean, when Quentin died 2 seasons ago on Arrow, they should have brought back their mother. They should have been having her interact with Sarah over on Legends. It's insane to me that the character of Dinah Lance has just been forgotten about. Number 2 for Arrow. Caden James. Wow, was that a waste. Season 6 of Arrow had some of the best potential stories, and yet they missed so hard on almost everything that they tried to do. It was ridiculous. I keep using that word. But by far, I think my least favorite thing that they did was killing Caden James. Caden James was an original character for Arrow. He was a supervillain they made up, a hacker in charge of the organization Helix. He was imprisoned by Argus, he kind of went a little bit cuckoo. The reason why he became a public supervillain, more or less, was because he thought that Oliver killed his son. Obviously that was wrong, and post-Crisis, who knows, maybe Oliver fixed that? I don't know. But I would love to see Michael Emerson come back and play Caden James again. In some other show, actually. Heck, put him on Flash. He would have been perfect for Flash. He'd be like a better version of the Thinker. Number 3 for Arrow. I honestly can't believe they haven't done this already. There's no reason why they couldn't have. At least, no reason within the shows. Deadshot. The character has been around since season 1. He's the guy that Diggle thought killed his brother. Then Diggle ended up being better friends with Deadshot than his own brother. And then they killed him off because of the Suicide Squad movie that came out that nobody actually liked. Okay, people liked it, but it wasn't good. Nobody really thinks that it was actually a cinematic masterpiece. Suicide Squad sucked. And even though Will Smith's Deadshot was one of the highlights of that movie, it wasn't worth it. We already had a good Deadshot on Arrow. And it's time they brought him back. We did see him, briefly, when Diggle was in prison and having hallucinations. But not good enough. They killed the character off in an explosion, which there's no reason he couldn't have survived that. And now with Crisis, there's definitely no reason to not bring back this classic Arrow character, classic comic book character. Deadshot needs to live. Moving on to The Flash, the first character that I want to bring back from The Flash is Firestorm. The Ronnie Raymond version of Firestorm. Back in season 1 of The Flash, one of the subplots that didn't appear to be going anywhere at first, but eventually went somewhere incredible, was Firestorm, the Burning Man. Caitlyn's husband died, supposedly, in the particle accelerator explosion, but then it turned out, no, he fused with Professor Stein. The two of them eventually learn to control that, become a superhero, and Ronnie even married Caitlyn. Right in time for him to sacrifice himself to save the city from a black hole. And yet, somehow, for all of the multiversal exploration and whatnot, it has never happened. They've never brought Firestorm back, the Ronnie Raymond version. They brought back an alternate universe version that was evil, but it wasn't him. It wasn't our Ronnie. And I don't know why. Maybe Stephen Amell's brother doesn't want to play the character anymore? Who knows? But it's time that they brought him back. Whether it's the actual version of Ronnie from our universe who survived Crisis and he found someone else to fuse with, maybe an alternate universe version of Jefferson Jax? Be more comic accurate. Or maybe it's a Firestorm from an entirely different universe. But it's still the Ronnie Raymond version who is close to our version. I don't care, but I miss the character of Firestorm. He was great on Legends while they had him. I honestly think that the Ronnie Raymond version, it needs another go. Just bring him back. Second character from The Flash that I want to bring back, also from Season 1, also a no-brainer. Where is Eddie Thawne? He killed himself to stop the Reverse Flash, and that didn't stick. There is no reason for the writers to have just kept Eddie dead. They have teased us. They've had Flash go back in time and talk with Eddie. They've had so much. They pulled his body into a portal. It boggles my mind that with all of the time travel and all of the retcons that this universe, that the Flash especially, has brought on, they still have not brought back Eddie Thawne. I miss him. He was a great character. He honestly, they could have made him such a jerk. They could have made the audience hate him, hate his relationship with Iris, be rooting for Barry to break them up. But no, they didn't take the easy route out. They made him a likable guy. They made it so that we genuinely wanted him and Iris to be happy together, and when he died, it was such a tearjerker and just a moment where we were like, no! Why? And we're still going, why? Because they haven't brought him back, and it's time that they did. Especially since Flash hasn't aired its first episode post-Crisis yet, they could still do it. Third character I want to bring back from Flash, Atom Smasher. For those of you who don't remember, Atom Smasher was actually a one-off antagonist character from the first episode of Season 2. He came over from an alternate Earth, he killed himself on Earth 1, and then tried to kill the Flash. His metahuman power was pretty simple. He grew really big after absorbing radiation. He basically was like a sort of Hulk character. But he was still actually a pretty great potential character. His power was interesting, and the CGI didn't look great, but it had a lot of potential. Additionally, from that, is the fact that Atom Smasher in the comics is traditionally a heroic character and a member of the Justice League. Having that character show up and pull a heel-face turn would have been amazing. As it is, they could bring back the character post-Crisis and have a version of him that is already heroic. I would like that. Maybe if I don't think he would fit in on Flash, but maybe we could shunt him over to Legends of Tomorrow, which is going to be in need of a character that can grow really big. And honestly, I'd rather have Atom Smasher over Ryan Choi. Sorry, but Crisis didn't really make me like that guy. And now it's time to move on to Supergirl. Supergirl is actually a tough one to find characters that have been killed off that should be brought back. Usually they're one-off antagonists that weren't that interesting, or big bads that you don't really want to see come back. But I did manage to find two characters that were written out that deserve a second chance. The first of these is not dead. He is Maxwell Lord. Now, here's the thing. The smug businessman who's super intelligent, who hates the Kryptonian, we have Lex Luthor now, who's filling that role. But they're starting up a Superman Lois Lane show, and I have a feeling that Jon Cryer is going to be shunted over to that one. Which, not complaining. I really like Jon Cryer as Lex Luthor. I want to see him interact with Superman more. Not be... What's the word I'm looking for here? In Crisis, he didn't really interact with the main Superman all that much. He interacted more with Supergirl and alternate versions of Superman. I would like to see him interact with the Superman that has been established in the Arrowverse as our Superman. I forget what the guy's name is that plays him, but he does an amazing job at both Clark Kent and Superman. He's not, the same as Brandon Routh or, Oh shoot, I have forgotten the name of the guy who played Superman in the old movies. I am a dunce sometimes. In any case, I've gotten off track. The point is that Lex Luthor is probably going to be leaving Supergirl. Therefore, there's going to be a slot open for someone like him. Maxwell Lord filled that role in Season 1. He did a spectacular job at it. He was just smarmy enough that you hated him, but he was compelling. He was a good character. They left him in an interesting place, and then they never brought him back. I would love to see the character return, whether played by that actor or someone else. I don't care. Again, I just want him back. I want to see what he's been working on in the shadows ever since Season 1. I want him to be the big villain of Season 6, or even Season 5. I don't care. Just put him in there. The second character from Supergirl that I want to see come back is Red Tornado. They did him in Season 1, and he sucked so bad. Red Tornado in Season 1 was everything that was wrong with Supergirl. He was evil instead of heroic. His costume was terrible. The effects on him were terrible. It's time they brought him back. He did appear in Crisis on Earth X. He was a full CGI character. He looked a lot better than the version from Season 1 of Supergirl. But he was still an antagonist. He still died. It wasn't good. Let's bring the character back. Let's have him be heroic. Why not? A android who can fly around and make tornadoes and has windy type powers? Yeah, sounds cool. If you can't put him on Supergirl, why not put him on Legends of Tomorrow? You already have a character on there that has windy-type powers. Maybe that character somehow is involved with the creation of Red Tornado. Why not? And ironically, I just realized that the character who uses wind powers on Legends has a red gem as the source of their power. I think they knew what they were doing there. Speaking of Legends, let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow. There are 2 more characters to go. Character number 1 that should come back? Rip Hunter. I know why they killed him off. The actor wanted to go back to Britain and do other shows and stuff like that. I get it. But, did you have to kill him? You could have written him out and made him just live a happy life. Supposedly he had a wife and son at some point in the future. Like, I would love it if they brought Rip Hunter back, even just for 1 episode, just showed that in the new future, post-crisis, the version of that character that exists is happy. I would love that. I would also love if they didn't do that, if they just recast the character, brought in somebody else to play him, and had him be a badass who's out there traveling time and joins the Legends again. Why not? Have him be the time-traveling version of Jonah Hex. Why not? And finally, last character on the list, last one from Legends of Tomorrow. I should think this one would be really obvious. Pretty much everyone who watches Legends begs for this character to come back in some way. They're always saying how much they miss him. I want Captain Cold. I want Leonard Snart. Not Leo. Not anyone that is not our Leonard. I want our Leonard back. Whether... I don't care how. Honestly, I don't. They could make up anything. It's Legends. They make up crap all the time that doesn't make any sense. They could do whatever they want. Just bring back Leonard Snart. I know the actor had other shows that he was going to be on, a new season of Prison Break for a while, but I'm pretty sure that's over with now. I would just adore it if they brought the actor back, had him play Captain Cold again, have him go through the whole thing of renaming himself to be Citizen Cold, be a hero. At the end of the day, I would even be happy if they showed him retired and happy, living life with his sister, or maybe he even has a family that he started. You know? Leonard Snart as a dad. Honestly, I think that is the most adorable idea ever. Just, I want to see him teaching his son or his daughter to fire the cold gun, and just being that sort of morally gray character who's just like, well, technically stealing is wrong, but if you see an opportunity, take it. Like, something along those lines. It would be fantastic. There's so much that they could do with him, and just, especially if they did bring back our Captain Cold, made it so he didn't have new memories post-crisis, and now he suddenly has to deal with the fact that the universe has moved on without him? Like, there is so much that's different from when he left the team. So many characters who have died, who have gone away, who have just, you know, lived their lives. It's insane, and I really want to see our Leonard come in and interact with those new versions of the characters. And they can do it. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to my soon-to-be outdated ramble, because obviously post-crisis stuff is going to pick up again soon. The various shows are going to be airing episodes, and my wishes will probably not come true for a lot of these. Of the characters that I'm asking to come back, I think... Honestly, I think the 2 that are most likely are probably Maxwell Lord and Captain Cold. The others, I don't really see it. Maybe Dinah Lance could come back. I wish they would. I really do. But the rest of them, I mean, Caden James, he had his time. Arrow's over. Bring him over onto another show might feel a little weird. Especially since, you know, they would have to go into detail about how he survived, or, like, didn't die, or whatever. Deadshot, they're coming out with another Suicide Squad movie at some point, and I'm pretty sure the character of Deadshot is still going to be in there, so it's very likely that there's not going to let the CW use that character. And Ronnie Raymond Firestorm, they probably would want Robbie Amell to be the one to play him, and I don't think the actor would. I don't. Given that his brother is no longer a part of the CW, and, like, the way that they treated a lot of the stuff in Crisis, I think he'll want to stay away. As for Eddie, as much as I want the character back, I do think that there isn't really much places to take that character. He's had his time, and that's kind of sad. Atom Smasher, he's a one-off character. They brought him in for one episode and never really talked about him again. So, yeah. And they've done Red Tornado twice. Rip Hunter's had a decent sacrifice, and they're probably not going to get the actor back. So, for the most part, most of these characters are unlikely to come back post-Crisis. And there is a very narrow window in which they can bring them back before it starts to get a little bit ridiculous that the characters haven't interacted with them already. Like, there's maybe a 2-month window, I'd say, in universe, in which new elements from post-Crisis can come up and still be a surprise to our main characters and not be things that they have sought out, looked at, thought about. Basically what I'm saying is if they don't do it in this next season, within like the first maybe 4 episodes post-Crisis, none of these characters are coming back. Sorry. But still, thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I had fun making up this list, fun talking about it. So, maybe I'll do some more stuff like this in the future. Depends on the response that I get. Anyways, hopefully some of you will stick around, check out my other videos, and if so, I'll see you there. Bye-bye.